Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe.
As John Lennon once famously wrote in his excellent festive tune, Merry Christmas, open brackets, war is over, close brackets, another year over and a new one just begun. And that sort of works for this intro spiel. Because another year is over and a new one is about to begun. And 2019 saw the wrestling world heat up in a way we've not seen since the heady days of the Monday Night War in the late 1990s. With WWE, New Japan, All Elite Wrestling, Ring of Honor, and Impact nailing down the talent that they have in fear of them going to the competition. WWE in particular went on a huge spending spree to get their talent to sign new 5-year deals, which everyone seemed happy to do so, apart from Mike Kanellis, of course, who might have asked for his release again since I recorded this video. But who didn't sign those new shiny deals? Who could be looking to see if the grass truly is greener on the other side? Or will this motley crew of the contract community confirm their commitment to their current companies? Let's find out. We were going to kick this video off with Luke Harper, but he was granted his release earlier this month. Nice one, WWE, I wrote a whole paragraph about that. However, his situation, where WWE artificially extended his contract due to injury, is quite similar to that of the Revival. Dash Wilder and Scott Dawson reportedly asked for their release in early 2019, shortly after the announcement of All Elite Wrestling. This request was of course turned down, and the team will be with WWE until April 2020. Well, Scott Dawson is. Like Luke Harper, Scott Dawson's teammate Dash Wilder had his time with WWE extended due to a jaw injury in 2016, and his contract will reportedly end in June 2020. According to Figure 4 Online, both men were offered those big 5-year deals, which they turned down. Kairi Sane is also on the list of those with contracts that expire in 2020. Dave Meltzer reported on Wrestling Observer Radio that Sane's deal is up early next year, and it's unknown if she's re-signed. But she definitely expressed interest in exploring other options, according to Big Daddy Dave. It's also worth noting that Bushi Road, the company that owns Stardom, have expressed an interest in luring Sane back to Japan along with Io Shirai when her contract expires, which will likely be in 2021. The Hardy Boys have their contracts up in 2020 after signing 3-year deals back in 2017. Matt Hardy has been posting videos asking to free the Delete, and he recently posted on Twitter, "I needed to return to WWE to finish in the right way. I didn't want 2010 to be my finale. I wanted to return in the most epic way and repaid my debt. I waved the WWE flag with pride and worked hard to be a model employee. My conscience is clear and I am at peace." It was reported that Matt's contract was set to end in April, but it might actually be in February. But Jeff Hardy, on the other hand, you guessed it, has had time added to his contract, which means he'll be with the company until at least the summer. An interesting name on this list is Mandy Rose, who according to Fightful has her contract coming to an end in late 2020. Rose is clearly well liked by the company, but she is yet to have any serious push with her tag team partner Sonya Deville. Now it's interesting because Rose's name never comes up in these sorts of conversations, and there have been no reports at the time of this recording of her extending her contract or signing a new deal. And she told The Wrap earlier this year while promoting her iOS app and future line of beauty products, being a WWE superstar, you have, I don't want to say a short shelf life, but it's more like sometimes you've got to look to the future and you've got to plan ahead. It's not gonna last forever. So take that for what it's worth. Someone who is looking to last, however, is Rey Mysterio. The long-lasting veteran signed a 2-year deal with WWE in 2018 with an 18-month opt-out, which will happen around WrestleMania next year. And although AEW's Cody Rhodes had said he would love to sign Mysterio once his contract has expired, Dave Meltzer wrote in the Wrestling Observer newsletter back in June, Mysterio also noted he's talked about signing a new deal with WWE during an event in San Diego. And it would make sense for Rey to stick with WWE, as he reportedly wants to do a retirement angle to push his son Dominic into his role. Lastly, on the Lucha front, and 2020 will see the contracts of Lucha House Party members Kalisto and Gran Metalik come to a flip-de-doo finale. Although the pair were part of that leading attack during Survivor Series on an episode of Raw, Lucha House Party have done little of note in 2019, except for beat Lars Sullivan, of course. Kalisto tweeted back in August, 10 months, #FreeAgent, and Gran Metalik replied, "Me too." Kalisto deleted his tweet presumably because he didn't want time added to his contract. Moving over to All Elite Wrestling, and as one would expect, there aren't many names featured on the list. We'll very soon be approaching the 1-year anniversary of AEW, and the majority of the wrestlers signed in the early days took multi-year deals. There have been reports that the likes of Shanna, Big Swole, and Chris Statlander are on short-term contracts which could expire in 2020, but there's no concrete details on those, so we won't mention them here. However, there was a report from Raja back in July that said although Jon Moxley signed a 3-year deal with AEW, he has an opt-out clause that could be activated after 1 year. And if that report is correct, that means Mox could leave AEW in May if he wanted to. However, after being positioned as one of the company's top stars since Double or Nothing, it would be surprising if Mox did decide to leave All Elite Wrestling. Unless, of course, he decides to sign a different deal with New Japan Pro Wrestling. Mox is set to face Lance Archer on Night 1 of Wrestle Kingdom 14, and potentially could be on Night 2 if he wins the United States Championship and goes on to defend it against Juice Robinson. This is one to keep an eye on. Ring of Honor is a bit of a minefield when it comes to asking the question of when contracts are coming to an end. A lot of these already have expired contracts. With the working agreement, they'll do Final Battle and the TV tapings that followed. Marty Scurll's contract expired at the end of November, and he worked Final Battle in a losing effort, only to show up at NWA's Into the Fire pay-per-view the following night, despite reports from Rovert that Ring of Honor had offered Scurll massive and insane offers to stay. Probably not unlike the offer that Matt Taven signed in September, which Dave Meltzer said was double the highest paid NXT wrestler. Rovert also reported that AEW's Tony Khan has had buyer's remorse over a few of the early All Elite Wrestling signings and wasn't willing to spend more money on talent, hence why the likes of Chris Statlander were signed to short-term deals. The other names in the Ring of Honor pool of talent who have contracts coming to an end or already have ended are PCO, PJ Black, Beer City Bruiser, Shane Taylor, Bandido, Flamita, Flip Gordon, and Roosh. One of the names that really sticks out on that list is the new ROH champion PCO, who won the belt from Roosh at Final Battle. PCO confirmed with Wrestling Inc. in October that his contract with Ring of Honor was up, but alluded to the idea that he would be offered a new deal. My contract is coming up soon, but I think they're gonna do everything. You know, they've got great wrestlers here. Sinclair Broadcasting is huge. They've got all kinds of resources and talent in legal and marketing. And now that he's Ring of Honor champion, could we see PCO stick around in ROH? PCO's Final Battle opponent Roosh was also on that list, having signed a 1-year deal with Ring of Honor in January 2019. ROH has a really good relationship with CMLL, which could be an incentive for Roosh to stick around for another year. But with him losing the ROH championship, could that mean he's on his way out the door? The other names that stick out on that list are television champion Shane Taylor and Flip Gordon. That's not to say that Bandido, Beer City Bruiser, PJ Black, and Flamita are unimportant, but there have been reports that NXT were really interested in bringing Shane Taylor in. WrestleTalk.com were told that Taylor had been approached by WWE to sign him to the Black and Gold brand with the idea of teaming him up with Keith Lee. Now, those plans have likely changed since Lee's ascension in popularity in the build-up to Survivor Series, as well as the aftermath, but that doesn't mean that WWE aren't still interested in bringing in Taylor. As for Flip Gordon, his contract expires in May 2020, according to the man himself. And it was revealed that he appeared backstage at All Elite Wrestling's Double or Nothing to surprise his former Ring of Honor buddies. Flip was a huge part of Being the Elite, and is still featured in the intro, and was a big feature on the precursor to AEW last September, All In. It's also no secret that he's good friends with Cody Rhodes. But one could easily go back to Tony Khan's reported buyer's remorse and ask the question of whether AEW want to bring Flip in, and whether or not ROH will offer Gordon massive and insane deals. But it is worth noting that Double or Nothing 2 will take place in May. Over on the other side of the world, and the New Japan contract for Hiroshi Tanahashi will expire in January 2020. The Ace's contract was up in 2019, but the former IWGP Heavyweight Champion signed on for another year. But there's been no word on whether he'll sign again to take him through 2020 and into 2021. However, before we all get excited about the prospect of Tanahashi in a Western promotion, it is likely he'll remain the Ace of New Japan until he retires from professional wrestling. Unless, of course, he takes the Shinsuke Shinsuke Nakamura deal, where the King of Strong Style decided to take on the Kings of Soft Style of wrestling in his later years by joining WWE, where he isn't under the constant pressure to put on 5-star classics. We'll likely find out the future of Tanahashi around Wrestle Kingdom 14, where he's set to take on Chris Jericho on night 2. Wait a second, Chris Jericho is the AEW champion! Hiroshi Tanahashi to AEW confirmed. Briefly on the MLW front, and there's only one name who could possibly leave the company when their contract expires, and that is Davey Boy Smith Jr. The son of the British Bulldog signed a new multi-year deal with MLW in early 2019, which Fightful claim will see Bulldog Jr. with the company for the majority of 2020, if not before. And lastly, we'll take a look at Impact Wrestling, who had a really great 2019 in nailing down their high-profile talent to great contracts. In-demand wrestlers like Moose, Jordan Grace, Willie Mack, Jake and Dave Christ, Ethan Page, and Rosemary all signed new multi-year deals with Impact Wrestling, with Jordan Grace telling us here at WrestleTalk earlier this year that she wanted to stick with Impact as they had the best women's division and she enjoyed the creative freedom. Speaking of their women's division, and in July, Impact Wrestling announced they had signed Tenille Dashwood, culminating in her having a high-profile title match against Knockouts champion Taya Valkyrie at Bound for Glory. During all of this, however, Dashwood also appeared for All Elite Wrestling as part of the All Out buy-in pre-show, where she competed in the Casino Battle Royale. Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful reported that Dashwood's deal with Impact ran until Bound for Glory this past October, and Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, expressed an interest during the media promotion for All Out that she would like to see Tenille wrestle in AEW. A contract that is up in early 2020, however, is Rob Van Dam. RVD told Wrestling Inc. that he signed with Impact until January 2020. However, in that same interview, seemed to suggest that he has no intention of going anywhere else due to Impact's light schedule. In the office, they treat me with respect. As far as what I'm interested in, with a lesser workload, it's perfect for me. However, the biggest name on the list of contracts coming to an end with Impact Wrestling is Tessa Blanchett. There hasn't been a bigger name in women's wrestling in 2019 than Tessa Blanchett, who broke the pay-per-view mold this year by having an intergender main event against Sami Callihan at Impact Wrestling Slammiversary. And the two are set to battle over the Impact World Championship in January. Blanchett is someone that Impact would love to keep hold of, but she's also a name that a lot of companies like WWE and AEW would love to get their hands on. And according to Fightful, Tessa's Impact deal is up in the summer of 2020. So it will be interesting to see if Impact pull the trigger and put the world title on her, or if she'll set course for other seas in the second half of the year. So that's all the contracts that have either expired in late 2019 or are set to expire in 2020. Of this list, who would you like to see re-signed with their respective companies? And who would you like to see trial the greener grasses on the other side of the fence? Let us know in the comments down below. Which wrestlers were released by WWE in 2019 and where are they now? And which wrestlers should try and get out of their contracts early? Click the videos on screen right now to catch up with the latest WrestleTalk awesome things. I've been Luke Owen, and that was wrestling.